In Aramutu village, Princess Aditeo stood upon the balcony of the royal palace, her gaze fixed upon the horizon as she awaited the arrival of her beloved Ayomide. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm glow upon the village below as the sounds of bustling activity drifted through the air. With each passing moment, Aditeo's heart beat faster, her pulse quickening with the anticipation of Ayomide's arrival. She had awaited this day with bated breath, dreaming of the moment when he would come to her side and ask for her hand in marriage. But as the hours stretched into eternity, Aditeo's excitement gave way to worry, her brow furrowing with concern as she scanned the horizon for any sign of Ayomide and his kinsmen. Yet no matter how hard she strained her eyes, there was no sign of them on the horizon. Frustration gnawed at Aditeo's heart as she paced the length of the balcony, her mind racing with 1,000 questions and fears. What could have delayed Ayomide's arrival? Had something happened to him on the journey? Or worse, had he changed his mind about marrying her? Unable to bear the uncertainty any longer, Aditeo made a decision that would alter the course of her destiny forever. With determination burning in her heart, she descended from the balcony and made her way towards the stables, where her lawyer steed awaited her. As she rode through the lush countryside towards Okitutu village, Aditeo's thoughts were consumed by the fear of the unknown. What would she find when she reached her destination? And what would she do if Ayomide had indeed forsaken her? Arriving at the gates of Okitutu village, Aditeo's heart pounded in her chest as she dismounted from her horse and approached the guard station at the entrance. With a voice trembling with emotion, she requested an audience with Ayomide, the man she loved with all her heart. Minutes stretched into hours as Aditeo waited anxiously for Ayomide to appear, her heart sinking with each passing moment of silence. And then, finally, he emerged from the depth of the palace, his face a mask of confusion and concern as he beheld her standing before him. Aditeo, what are you doing here? Ayomide asked, his voice filled with surprise as he took in her disheveled appearance. I came to see you, Ayomide, Aditeo replied, her voice choked with emotion as tears welled in her eyes. I was worried when you did not come as planned, and I needed to know if you still intended to marry me. Ayomide's heart constricted at the pain he saw reflected in Aditeo's eyes, his own eyes filled with regret as he struggled to find the words to explain his absence. Aditeo, there is something you must know, he began, his voice heavy with sorrow. I cannot marry you. Tears spilled down Aditeo's cheeks at Ayomide's words, her heart breaking into a million pieces as she struggled to comprehend the magnitude of his betrayal. Why, Ayomide? Why have you forsaken me? She cried, her voice echoing through the courtyard. I don't know, Ayomide admitted, his eyes filled with anguish as he reached out to comfort her. My parents have forbidden me from seeing you, but they refuse to tell me why. I am as lost and confused as you are. Aditeo's heart shattered at Ayomide's confession, her world crumbling around her as she realized that their love was not enough to overcome the obstacles that stood in their way. With a heavy heart, she turned and fled from Okitutu village, her mind consumed by grief and despair. Returning to Aramutu village, Aditeo sought solace in the arms of her father, King Odetutu, hoping that he would be able to provide her with the comfort and guidance she so desperately needed. But to her horror, she found him consumed with rage and fury, his face contorted with anger as he raged against the perceived insult to his daughter's honor. How dare they humiliate you in such a manner? King Odetutu thundered, his voice echoing off the walls of the palace. This affront cannot go unpunished. We will go to war with Okitutu if necessary to defend our honor. Aditewa's heart clenched at her father's words, her mind reeling with the implications of his declaration. War with Okitutu would mean untold suffering and bloodshed, tearing apart the very fabric of their society and leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Yet even as she trembled with fear at the prospect of conflict, Aditeo knew that she could not stand idly by while her honor was besmirched. With resolve burning in her heart, she vowed to do whatever it took to set things right, no matter the cost. And so, as the drums of war began to beat in the distance, Aditeo steeled herself for the battle that lay ahead, knowing that the fate of her village, and perhaps even the fate of her love, hung in the balance. King Aditutu's fury simmered like a tempest on the horizon, his mind consumed by thoughts of vengeance and retribution. Yet even as he raged against the perceived insult to his daughter's honor, a voice of reason whispered in the depths of his soul, urging caution in the face of impending conflict. It was amidst this turmoil that the village's traditional priest, Boba Aefe, approached the king with a grave expression etched upon his weathered face. With a deep bow, he began to speak, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of wisdom and tradition. Your Majesty, I come to you with a warning, Boba Aefe intoned, his eyes solemn as he met the king's gaze. The path you seek to tread is fraught with danger, for the spirits have whispered to me of great atrocities that are about to be revealed. King Aditutu's brow furrowed in confusion at the priest's words, his anger momentarily forgotten as he struggled to make sense of the cryptic warning. What do you mean, Boba Aefe? What atrocities are you speaking of? But before the priest could respond, Queen Adebisai entered the chamber, her face pale with fear as she beheld the scene before her. Husband, we must heed Boba Aefe's warning, she pleaded, her voice trembling with apprehension. There are secrets buried in the past, secrets that threaten to tear our world apart if they are ever brought to light. King Aditutu's eyes widened in shock at his wife's words, his mind racing with the implications of her confession. What secrets do you speak of, Adebisai? What have you been hiding from me all these years? Tears welled in Queen Adebisai's eyes as she fell to her knees before the king, her voice barely above a whisper as she spoke. I have been unfaithful to you, my husband, she confessed, her words heavy with shame and remorse. Princess Aditeo is not your biological daughter. She is the child of one of your chiefs, conceived in a moment of weakness many years ago. A stunned silence descended upon the throne room as King Odetutu processed his wife's confession, his heart heavy with the weight of betrayal. And yet, amidst the pain and betrayal, a spark of understanding flickered in his eyes, a realization dawning upon him like the first light of dawn. "So that is why you have forbidden me from going to war with Okitutu," King Odetutu mused, his voice tinged with bitterness as he turned to face Baba Ife. "You knew of these secrets all along, didn't you? You knew that the truth would bring about bloodshed and chaos." Baba Ife nodded solemnly, his gaze unwavering as he met the king's eyes. "I did what I had to do to protect the village, Your Majesty," he replied, his voice filled with regret. "But now the time for secrets is at an end. The truth must be revealed, no matter the cost." With a heavy heart, King Odetutu realized that there could be no turning back from the path that lay before him. With the weight of his wife's betrayal pressing down upon him like a leaden cloak, he knew that he must face the consequences of his actions, no matter how dire they may be. And so, as the sun set on Aramutu village, casting long shadows across the land, King Odetutu made a decision. Rising from his throne, he addressed his people with a voice that rang out like a clarion call, his words carrying the weight of centuries of tradition and honor. "Tonight, we lay bare the truth that has been hidden in the shadows for far too long," King Odetutu declared, his voice echoing through the palace courtyard. "No matter the cost, we must face the consequences of our actions and strive to build a better future for our children and our children's children." And as the people of Aramutu village gathered beneath the starlit sky, their hearts heavy with the burden of the truth that had been revealed, they knew that the road ahead would be long and fraught with peril. But they also knew that in facing their demons head-on, they had taken the first step towards redemption and reconciliation, towards a future filled with hope and possibility.